up, 49er fans. Look, it's a little too early in the year to be playing the must-win game, but here in week 4, it feels like we're already there. Damon Bruce in the home studio. We got Levi's Larry down in Santa Clara. Krug, what's up, pal? How are you?
Good morning, Damon. Good morning, audience. Good morning, everybody. It is Friday. Happy Friday, September the 27th, 9:12 out here on the West Coast. And that means it's 12 minutes after noon back east, where Nicole Yang will be joining us shortly to talk a little bit about the Patriots from the Boston Globe. But good morning to everybody. And I'll say this, Damon, I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous about this game on Sunday. I know the Niners are big favorites, and we're going to get into it, but the Niners are also the walking wounded, and I think they need to make moves that I don't think they're going to make, and that makes me nervous.
Well, I'll tell you, big dogs have barked pretty loud so far in the NFL season. Forget the points. There's been an awful lot of outright upsets out there. So this is a huge week coming up. Look, we are brought to you by Sam's Chowder House. We have gorgeous pictures of Sam's Chowder House to show you a little bit later on. Maybe even Nicole Yang can judge the quality of the lobster roll since she does write for the Boston Globe. That is absolutely in her wheelhouse of knowledge. And I see, Larry, that she has just clicked on. So she's not wait.
She's in the green room. Time. Yeah, she's in the green room. And let's just bring her right in right now. Nicole Yang is with us. Nicole, thank you very much for joining us. This is Wake Up. I'm Larry Krueger. That's Damon Bruce. And thank you for your time. We appreciate it. And obviously we're getting ready to see the Patriots and the 49ers come Sunday. A lot of people feel like, this is a gotta have it game here in San Francisco, but I think there's also a real overlooking of New England because they don't have Belichick, they don't have Brady, they don't have star power. But I feel like New England can win this game. Before we get into so many things, what do you think of the matchup? And welcome to our show.
Well, that's very generous of you to say to the Patriots, considering how they performed on Thursday Night Football last week. But I think for the Patriots, this game is about what their identity is. So in week 1, we saw this pretty sound, plucky team upset the Bengals. In week 2, we saw a couple of their flaws come to light, but they were competitive and they almost upset the Seahawks. But then in week 3, we saw kind of the product that everyone was expecting before the season started, which was just not a very undermanned team, not able to contend with the likes of the Jets, San Francisco. So I think for the Patriots, they're viewing week 4 as a litmus test. Okay, which team, which identity most resembles the current squad?
Well, Nicole, I know that the future identity might already be in the room with a rookie quarterback, that it just feels like this team is taking its slow approach to Drake May, and it might not even be the reason of Drake May's development that they're slow approaching him. They'd like to see this offensive line get a little better and maybe, have him debut against a lesser opponent than the 49ers, even though they haven't lived up to their expectation or hype so far this year. Can you tell us a little bit about it's sort of a strange quarterback situation, because it feels like Jacoby Brissett is a placeholder, not for when Drake May is ready, but for when the team is maybe ready to protect Drake May a little bit better. Do we have that right?
So I think that might be part of it, but honestly, I think they're just waiting until they feel Drake is ready. I'm not really sure how much of the offensive line plays a factor. I think it is a consideration, but they put Drake in for the final 4.5 minutes on Thursday, and the offensive line at that point had looked horrendous, and they were playing with their 4th string left tackle when Drake went in. So they were comfortable putting him in that situation, and he was sacked twice, including a pretty big hit. So I think they just want Drake to be up to speed. I think the offensive line is a part of it, but from my understanding, they view hits as part of the game. Obviously, they want to shore up the offensive line, but it's not the number one inhibiting factor from having Drake be on the field.
Ramondre Stevenson is, you were talking about identity, and he has absolutely been the offensive identity so far. What do you think of the job he's doing, and can a running back get this team where it needs to be before Drake is ready to enter the picture?
Yeah, so the Patriots are averaging 100 passing yards per game. So most of their production is coming on the ground. Ramondre in the first 2 weeks really was the focal point, and he was a huge factor. And then in week 3, Alex Van Pelt, their offensive coordinator, was like, okay, I think we've established the run. Maybe we can now turn to the pass. And then that game plan just didn't work out. So I expect them to return to the run game in week 4. I expect Ramondre to have a big role and reach his 20 plus carries. And I think the big thing with him, though, is ball security, because he has fumbled in each of the first 3 games. Just in weeks 1 and 2, the Patriots recovered the fumble, so it wasn't as consequential. But in week 3, he lost his fumble, and it could have been a turning point for the Patriots. So that's a big talking point this week, but I definitely expect Ramondre to return to form.
Nicole, if Patriots fans are impatient with this rebuild, or who's I guess has the pressure on them here? Mayo's a first-year head coach. Is it the owner? Is it the owner's son? They moved on from Belichick. They moved on from Brady. Who's really wearing the pressure in that organization right now?
I would say it's the combination of Mayo and then their chief personnel guy, Elliot Wolf. They've been really working in tandem throughout the offseason since Bill left. And I think that the hire of offensive coordinators on them, the selection of Drake is on them. Obviously, Elliott neglected the offensive line to a point that it's reached this product. So I would say that the two of them are at the forefront for sure. And they will be bearing whatever consequences or whatever positive productivity as well.
Nicole Yang of the Boston Globe, nice enough to join us here on Wake Up. Thank you so much for your time, Nicole. Normally when a new coach hits town, everyone starts looking for what he might be better at than the old coach. This is a very tough situation for Jared Mayo to step into, because the old coach is arguably the greatest coach the game of football has seen. What, if anything, can you identify Mayo does that might be better? Maybe that's even a harder thing. Just what is different about him? Maybe besides the way he deals with media. What are your impressions, and how big a shoes has anyone ever been asked to fill? This feels like about a size 14 wide.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough situation. And for the reason you just described, everything he does, I feel like is viewed in the context of how is this different from Belichick, or how does this stack up to Belichick? But I think one of the biggest differences in how the team is operating now is the collaborative aspect. So he and Elliott are working in tandem. He and the rest of the coaching staff are working in tandem whenever they have to make these big decisions. And oftentimes under the Belichick regime, Bill would just make these unilateral calls, both in terms of personnel, both in terms of substitutions. He would just kind of reign on his own and not really consult the scouts or the coaches for their opinion. And even if he did, he wouldn't necessarily listen. So I think Gerard is really priding himself on relying on experts when it's not necessarily his strength, and just making sure that he's taking into consideration the opinions of others involved in the building.
How do you and your fellow media members in New England feel about, basically watching Bill Belichick go with the I'm completely indifferent and uncooperative approach with media, to now watch him join the media and become an absolute darling? He's like the Ed McMahon of the Pat McAfee show. He is laughing. He is regaling us with stories that feel like they've fallen right out of the Hall of Fame. How are you guys feeling about the new 2.0 media-friendly Bill Belichick?
Yeah, it's pretty on brand for him. It's a little bit ironic, but Bill has always shown that he's able to turn on the charm and turn on this version of himself when he wants to. When he would go on College Game Day last year for the Army-Navy game, he was just, as he is now, like a media sensation. It was kind of like a teaser to what everybody is seeing. But then literally later that week, he would come in and give us, his typical one sentence, one word, like mumblings. So everything Bill does is very calculated. I'm sure he wants to sort of show to the NFL world that he still has it. He still knows a ton about football. And I think the reaction he wants to elicit is, how could, seven organizations pass up on me this offseason?
Nicole, do you have a prediction for the game on Sunday?
So the line is like 10 and a half, right? So right. I can't imagine the Patriots scoring more than 13 points, to be honest, just based on how the offense has looked. Even in their win, they only scored 16 points. So I could see it being like 13-24. I don't even like the game on Thursday, which was very clearly one-sided, very clearly lopsided. The score didn't really reflect it. Like watching the game, it felt like the score should have been 42-3 and it was only 24-3. So I don't necessarily know if the Niners will run up the score, but I would say like 27-13, 24-13. What about you guys?
It feels about right. It really does. The number 10 and a half is a big number. I mean, I think anyone getting 6+ has got a real nice record against the spread right now in this league. So I think we're watching the first 4 weeks of a football regular season turn into the new preseason. So coming up with a rock solid prediction of anything is harder to do now than it will be later in the year. So I don't know. The way things have gone for the 49ers out here, it's hard to depend on the things that you used to depend on, a stout defensive line, a secondary that's really improved, an offense that just churns out 30 points and no doubt yardage all the time. And it's been anything but that to start the year. So there's quite a bit of anxiety settling in over Santa Clara. I know that there's probably always impatience. Boston sports fans not really known for their patience. But you guys had a pretty damn good run. Everyone should be able to take a breath in New England and realize that this is you can't find a franchise going through a bigger reset, maybe in all of sports, than what the Patriots are going through right now.
Yeah, that's definitely for sure. The thing, I think, the reason why the Patriot fans are growing impatient, though, is because this is year 5 now of post-Brady, and it's just that other than the start of the 2021 season with Mac Jones's rookie year, it's really just looked like dysfunctional, incompetent, at the opposite of everything that they had showed during that 2-decade dynasty.
We'll see if they get it right at quarterback, right? That's what this league's about. But I'll say, I think this game's going to be closer. I think it's going to be more like, the 49ers defense is not playing well. 49ers special teams is not playing well. Marcus Jones is a great return man. I think New England's going to have at least one big return from Hasty or Jones. I think they're going to get over the top. The Niners are not defending verticals. I think Pop Douglas gets deep on the Niners. I think the 49ers should score 30, but there's this defense a little tougher. So I'll say it's 24-21 49ers. I think it's more of a close game. But I also think Brissett's better than other people think. And here's the other thing. The rest factor is kind of like the factor that nobody ever discusses in the NFL. Niners look tired. They look gassed. They look slow. They look tired. They look gassed. They just look like, Shanahan looks like he's run out of gas. They look like they've run out of gas. I don't know. I don't see. I think Niner fans are hoping for, some 35-10 blowout, and it could happen, but I don't see it. Nicole, awesome to have you with us. I know my connection's not great because I'm here at the stadium today, but thank you very much for jumping in with us on our show here, Wake Up with Damon and Larry. We really appreciate your time. If people want to follow you or want to connect to you in any way, what's the best way to, digest what you're putting out there around the Patriots?
Yeah. So all of my work is on the Boston Globe. So bostonglobe.com/sports. And then on Twitter, I'm at Nicole C. Yang, though I'm not very active on the platform.
Which means you're probably a happier person for it. So congratulations. Can we ask you this, though? Since you do work for the Boston Globe, I feel like whether you want to or not, you have to judge this lobster roll from our sponsor, Sam's Chowder House. Let's just show it to her. And no wrong answers here, Nicole. Just go with your instincts. What do you think of this lobster roll, if you would, please, Larry?
Well, first of all, I'm going to show her the video because this is the restaurant. This is the restaurant. It's on the water. Nicole, if you ever come out to Northern California, you got to come out to Sam's Chowder House. And you know, it's not Maine lobster roll, but it's the Pacific Ocean. Little paella there, a little cioppino. I don't know if you're a big cioppino fan, but ooh, look at the cioppino. And then you can just sit there on the patio enjoying Northern California. No bug spray. There you go.
No window scrapers. No angry guys from Worcester yelling at you because you parked funny and just over the line. It's nice. And
there you go. There's a little lobster roll with the chips and the coleslaw, and a little crab louie for those of you who like to indulge in crab louie. Nicole's like, "What is this show? What is going on here?" Nicole, thanks for the time. Great stuff. We appreciate the spot, and we'll hopefully catch up with you down the road. And good luck to you this year. Have a great year.
Thanks so much, you guys. Have a good one.
Nicole,
thank you very much.
You know, that was cool. It's always good to get a little perspective on the opposition, and we appreciate Nicole Yang for stopping by. And Damon, I really, we can get into it a little bit more, but it's my natural inclination to worry, right? And I was telling this to somebody the other day in a live stream. Maybe it was Dieter. That when I was in the Canadian League, one of my jobs was to come up on the day before the game and present the defensive coordinator with the other team's path to victory. If they were going to beat us, how were they going to beat us? Where were they going to beat us? Why were they going to beat us? Right. And he was very serious about this. This is like the one thing he's like, I don't give a blah, blah, blah about this and that. I want this report, boy. So I would give this report and I would come up with a path to victory.
I love how your time in the Canadian Football League was spent only around coaches with huge Southern drawls.
Yeah, exactly. None of these guys are from Canada. Though I did love Canada. But anyway, so my whole thought process as the week goes on is, try to put yourself in the mindset of the Patriots. You're coming here. You just got your doors blown off by the Jets. How do you win in San Francisco? Is there a path to victory? And I think there's a very clear path to victory for the Patriots in this game. And it worries me. And it's run Ramondre Stevenson at a 49er run defense that is badly missing the ferociousness of Dre Greenlaw. And they're missing the speed of Dre Greenlaw and the numbers that Devondre Campbell has right now, Damon. Devondre Campbell has allowed 14 receptions on 16 targets for 149 yards, and quarterbacks that have targeted him have a 126.3 passer rating. He is getting toasted. Winters is much, much faster. I know he's got the ankle, but he practiced yesterday. Damon, D. Winters has got to start over Devondre Campbell. I don't know if you caught the Devondre Campbell quote to Eric Branch, but he's like, didn't understand why, he was coming out of the game and there were other guys being used at his position. And by the way, while this is happening, Curtis Robinson, John Lynch told KMBR just a half hour ago that the Curtis Robinson carted off knee injury from practice yesterday looks really bad. So sounds like Curtis Robinson is probably done for the year. That's my guess. There's nothing official on that.
The shame of it is he never really got to start the year. He has been an afterthought, and this was going to be, it felt like his entry point of the season. Yeah, he was going to have an opportunity in front of him, and it feels like that's gone now. So more Devondre Campbell does not sound good to me. You got to give me the latest on Jordan Elliott. Did he go off the field yesterday on a cart? I mean, how is
Jordan Elliott also was carted off? It was a foot injury. It was reported as a foot injury. John Lynch said this morning it was an ankle injury and that they escaped any real damage there. He said he only was carted off because they just didn't want him walking off because it was the nature of foot ankle. but he didn't have to be carted off. It wasn't like a catastrophic thing or some blowout.
Sure.
They think he'll be ready. Now, I don't know if he'll be ready for Sunday, and that's the question. The 49ers are going to activate T.Y. McGill, I think, off the practice squad. That announcement will come later today. But now, Damon, you always have 4 tackles up on game day. So you got Givens and T.Y. and Collins. So who's that 4th tackle? And I think it's probably going to be Shaquille Brown, who they just signed, or it could be Evan Anderson.
Right?
Yeah, but he did have training camp with the Niners.
Right.
But it's either Evan Anderson or Shaquille Brown, or they're going to add somebody from off the roster. My guess is they'll go with Shaquille Brown. I just think Shaquille Brown a little bit more veteran.
Yeah, a little late in the week to make any roster ad that you could count on to come and make an appearance or have a performance in Sunday's game. So, yeah, you're going with what you got, and they probably elevate 2 from the practice squad. You want to talk about catching bad luck to start the year. I don't know if the 49ers have caught more bad luck than they have receptions. I mean, at this point, they really have. It's an extraordinarily ominous start to the year, and anything other than a successful game against the New England Patriots is going to add just more to the pile of anxiety that 49ers fans are feeling. You got to give me some good news here, Larry. You were at practice. By the way, since I wouldn't care about our names or anything, but it does have our sponsor on it. You want to get the Sam's frame back up, make it all pretty and sexy for our good friends at Sam's Chowder House.
What happened there?
There you go. Well, I think what happens when you showed the pictures.
When I went to the pictures,
when you go to the pictures, the frame disappears. By the way, we'll show everyone the pictures and we'll talk through them later. But look, it's not good where it all sits right now. It's not good. I think you're a little bit, transferring some greater season-long concerns into a game that, even with their current situation, I do think they are built to handle the New England Patriots. I really do.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I think it's the wrong time for this, Damon. It's the wrong time. I think what I mean by that is just I think they need to play a team that they fear losing to. They did because they lost Vikings, but did they fear losing to?
Larry, you're glitching out. You're disconnecting. Again, Levi Stadium, built in the heart of Silicon Valley, and the wireless is not exactly helping us out right now. No, look,
there we go.
I know what you're saying. Sometimes the right opponent makes you ball your fist a little tighter and you throw your punch a little harder. The 49ers, I think, have gone through enough of their own problems, Larry, where their next performance need not depend on the quality of opponent. They need to put it on tape for themselves. This defensive line doesn't need to look good against the Patriots. They just need to look good, because they really haven't. This secondary, the same thing. You're talking about, do they have the requisite speed to succeed? Well, when you look at the Patriots wide receivers, it's not like you're looking at some speed demons and the flight of the Valkyries out there. It's the Patriots are a very much ground and pound football team as well that doesn't dust you off the field with speed. So I do think the right opponent for what is ailing them is on the schedule. Maybe not the right opponent to motivate them, but at 1-2, if you need the right opponent to motivate you, well, we can just cash out and walk out of the casino right now, because you're not a high limit roller anymore.
Yeah. You got to put your best foot forward. And the only thing, and my big fear in this game, is that the Niners need to make some adjustments, and I don't know that they're going to make them. I don't think that they are going to make them. I think they do need to put D. Winters on the field for Campbell, but I don't think they're going to do it this week, Damon. I think they do need to put Terrace Marshall or Jacob Cowing on the field for Ronnie Bell. I don't think that's going to happen. And I think they need to put Renardo Green on the field for Isaac Yadam, and I don't think that's going to happen. So are we talking about
get it? Are we talking about what they got? Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off there. Are we talking about players who are not yet ready to play, and you're willing to take that leap, or are we talking about Shanahan's stubbornness? Which are we talking about here?
You know what I think it is, and I hate to say it, but I think, it starts to be about other things
It's harder and harder to make lineup changes when you got a coach who just does not have a history of turning it over to the young guys or rookies. You don't have an awful lot of NFL history where a team in the Super Bowl is, in a Super Bowl window is looking to turn it over to young guys or rookies. So maybe you got a tug of war with money spent going on in the front office and the coaching staff. But here's the deal. You go to 1-3, it's a world of shit. 2-2 is a sunny day that you whistle through compared to 1-3, which is you've just fallen into a Grand Canyon. And now you got a real beatable or a real ready to beat you Arizona team coming in the week after that. So this is,
gotta have a game.
It's way too early to be talking about must wins, and nobody. And this is why the whole, you get the schedule and you start going through wins and losses and wins and losses and wins and losses. I had JT the Brick on yesterday. He's like, the only got to win game on the entire Raiders schedule was that Carolina Panthers game, the home opener, and they lose that. Every single 49er fan, every single person who hates the 49ers looked at 49ers, New England, and wrote W. So anything other than that means something catastrophic either happened that day or is happening to this season. And when you add it all up, it's starting to look like it's starting to look bad. I mean, it really is. So, Larry, give me some good news, okay? I mean, we can't be the doom and gloom show. It's too early. You've been at practice this week.
I'm going to give you some good news. Give you some good news.
Have you seen Brock Purdy express any discomfort? How does Brock look? Let's start with that guy.
Yeah, he looks great. Looks great. And the back thing, I don't think is going to be an issue. Good. The other great news for the 49ers is that Nick Bosa is going up in this game against Caden Wallace. And Caden Wallace was a Penn State guard last year. And now he's being asked to play left tackle because the Patriots have injuries on their offensive line at both left guard and left tackle. So they're going to play this guy at left tackle against Nick Bosa. Damon, he's never played tackle, really. He's a guard. I mean, he's a powerful guard who's going to be out there on an island against the best pass rusher in the game. So I think if Nick Bosa doesn't have 3 sacks in this game, I absolutely would be shocked.
Well, let's just say best pass rusher in the game will no longer be a crown he gets to wear or a title he gets to hold. He doesn't even really deserve it right now with the way that he's played over the last couple of years and the way that TJ Watt continues to play. That guy's the best pass rusher in the game. But this has got to be an awful lot of Nick Bosa.
Myles Garrett, yeah.
Yeah, this has got to be Nick Bosa all day and night long. And it might not have even gotten to Caden Wallace. It needed to be Nick Bosa all day and night long. This is an offensive line that you take advantage of. You talk about taking advantage. The one matchup that I think the Patriots are looking to take advantage of, I've watched a little bit of of the Patriots this week. Keon White, Larry. Keon White could be in Colton McKivit's wheelhouse all afternoon long. He's pretty damn good. So I would keep an eye out on that matchup. And obviously, yeah, it's time for Nick Bosa to feast. But with, no Hargrave, with Elliott and his availability seemingly in question this week, it could be the week where you can throw that double team. You can throw that chip block at Bosa for 30 snaps in a row. So that means it's time for Leonard Floyd. That means it's time for Malik Collins. That means it's time for T.Y. McGill, whatever practice squatter gets their shot this week. You should be able to put some good film together this week against this Patriots offensive line if Bosa is absorbing double teams.
Let me tell you what's going to happen in this game.
Someone else.
Let me tell you what's going to happen in this game. They're going to come out and run Stevenson, and then they're going to pass it really short all day. Like,
yep.
They're going to come out in the short passing game. Little Osborne and little rub routes to Douglas and all this stuff around the line of scrimmage. Then guess what the Niners are going to do? They're going to go play man-to-man, tighten that coverage, and then Brissett's going to run. And he's one of these guys that he's a really, really smart running quarterback. I mean, obviously, you look at him, he's not the fastest quarterback, but it doesn't matter about fast. He knows when to run. He knows when, if you go to man-to-man and you turn your head and you give him a lane, he is going to run. Why? Because he knows that his accuracy is just okay. His weapons are just okay. If any ball he puts in the air has got a chance to be picked. Any ball that he hands to Stevenson has a chance to be fumbled. You know what I mean? And Jacoby Brissett is going to, if you give him a run lane, he's going to abandon whatever play they have, and he's just going to take that run lane. He's a smart runner. I've seen him do it. He did it in the Cincinnati game. He ran decisively, and he ran when they turned their head on man-to-man coverage. So somehow the Niners are either going to have to be good enough in the short zone to close down all the space, Damon, or if they can't and they go man-to-man, they're going to have to keep a spy on Brissett, or at least be aware, because he's very decisive. When he takes off to run, he's not faking it. He's going to run, and he'll look for just like almost a sweep, like student body right, student body left. Just, he wants to go diagonal to the sideline. He's not cutting it up. He's not going to try to break tackles. He's just going to go diagonal to the sideline, and he'll take 6, he'll take 7, he'll take 12. He'll take whatever lane you give him. To me, that he's a concern. Stevenson is a concern. And then the Niners, I'll say this, and I hate to say this is a slow Patriots team as far as weapons go. But Pop Douglas has got 4.4 speed and can get over the top. The Niners right now look really slow on the back end. They have not been able to defend the vertical. When you can't defend the vertical, you're getting the vertical. So they're going up top at least 3 or 4 times. So think about that. You got a quarterback who's running to the edges. You got a big, running back who can break tackles. And then they're going to stretch you down the field with Pop Douglas and show that you can either not wrap guys up. Isaac Yiadom, I'm talking to you, or not get blown by Mooney Ward. I'm talking to you. So, we're going to see, but I think this Patriots team, and then, to me, Damon, there's 2 guys that you have to account for in this Patriots team. One is this guy, number 41. His name's Brendan Schooler. And you say, who the heck is Brendan Schooler? When you watch their film, Damon, this guy is like a Blake Costanzo or something. He's a special teams ace that makes every freaking tackle. He's amazing. He's number 41. And then the other guy you got to watch for in this game is Marcus Jones as a return man. He's super dangerous, and he can take it to the house. And the Niners, the Niners cannot have any more special teams gaffes. It's got to end.
No. Well, but it won't, because you want to talk about being stubborn and not making changes. I watch there be a special teams gaff again. And that is the single fastest way to open up a path to victory for the Patriots, who we were talking about earlier. Special teams play against stolen possession. I'd be feeling really good at running a punt at a team that said, yeah, we knew that they were going to run a fake punt there and still did nothing to stop it. So look out for that. What's Mayo got to lose? Nothing. I mean, every down of Patriots football this season is house money down. He's got nothing to prove. He doesn't even have his quarterback that he's going to be playing with in the future out there yet. So it is, the Patriots should come out here and just play carefree football, where I don't know how much carefree can be applied to anything going on with the 49ers right now, because the stress is so real. And if they think that they're a stressed out football team at 1-2, they fall to 1-3. And I mean, the sky literally is going to fall on top of them right down in Santa Clara. So we do know that. It's a big week. Who would have ever thought week 4 against the Patriots was going to be the fork in the road of the 2024 NFL season? But it feels like that's where it is. Larry, again, give me some more good news. George Kittle back at practice, though. Hey, diddle. If you got a 100-yard game in you, George Kittle, this is a week that would really, really help to see it. Give us a little latest on Debo, too. Sounds like it's trending towards him making an appearance this Sunday.
Yeah, it was a calf injury. He was at practice yesterday, Debo, and he looked good. He looked explosive. I think he's going to play. I think Kittle's going to play as well. Yeah, having those two guys back will be huge. Absolutely huge. Why don't we hit a couple supers here? Fuji Simeon says, if CMC is out, which running back would you like behind Mason? You know what? Out of nowhere, Damon, you know what was another revelation yesterday is that Chris Forster, just unbelievably out of left field, just talking about how awesome Isaac Guerrero looked. So, and how he wants to see Guerrero and open spaces. So I would say get ready for them to, spring Guerrero in this game. I think you're going to see a lot of Guerrero, and I think you'll see him in open spaces. Fuji Simeon says, should Purdy and Colton switch and see if that works? Colton is struggling mightily, and he has his work cut out for him this week. But, the one interesting thing that we saw yesterday, and he looked great, Spencer Burford, who is having a hard time getting on the field, but played tackle at University of Texas at San Antonio, was practicing at right tackle yesterday. So you may see Spencer Burford, who played right tackle in college, step in for Colton if Colton continues to struggle. Colton, the PFF numbers are not kind to him right now, and he's given up a lot of pressures, and it's in Brock Purdy's face. So, and it's not Purdy's not the answer, not a tackle.
Look, I'm a Spencer Burford guy. I actually think that, he should have been equipped to hold off Dominic Purdy, but Purdy is that much better already. But I don't think it's time to give up on Burford, who's not going to win that job back. They got to find something to do with him. They think they got an NFL player in him, and he is still very, very young. There's a lot to learn there. But the fact that he's already been kicked out to tackle and they're taking a look there, I don't know if that's a good sign for Burford as much as that's just a bad sign for Colton McKivitz. I mean, this is a team that's got a good sign for Burford. Well, I mean,
I think it's a good sign for Burford because you know why, Damon? Because it just makes him more valuable.
Yeah.
What's that?
I mean,
it just makes him more valuable. He wants to play. And I'll say this, Burford yesterday at practice was the best I've seen him move as far as footwork and explosiveness. In a lot of ways, Spencer Burford has the prototype body for offensive line play. He carries a lot of weight in his legs. He's very powerful. He's very stout. He's smart. He just needs to be coached up. I mean, he really and he's got a great coach in Forster. He's going to get beat at times by speed, but you know what? I think he's got upside potential. I'll say this. He moved so well yesterday in practice. I was like, wow, look at the movement ability of Burford. So he's in great shape, and he might be a guy that they can lean on, or maybe you're going to have to lean on because they don't have. I mean, some people are saying Jalen Moore, throw Jalen Moore out there, but I think their plan is to throw Burford at right tackle if Colton struggles.
Do you think that we'll see Nick no, well, go ahead. Yeah, let's do the supers.
Blood Moon says, don't want to peak too early. Balance is a must. No question. Fuji Simeon says, sorry, I made a mistake on Wednesday. I should have said to both of you, your parents did a good job. Did you hear about the Ohtani Ball lawsuit? The White Sox are flirting with relocation if no new stadium.
Fuji Simeon's trying to produce the show, Larry. He's giving us new topics to drift into. That's baseball. We're not talking baseball. We're not talking White Sox baseball, but thank you, Fuji. And yeah, we're not one of those guys where you gave Larry a compliment and you got to give me one too. Don't worry about that.
Don't worry about it. We're good. Fuji Simeon, one more. He says, to be clear, I'm with you, Larry. Colton could be a good auxiliary lineman, play anywhere on the line. I was okay with the extension. Yeah, I'm okay with Colton McKivitz being on the team. I think Colton McKivitz, okay, it's like anything else. There's a player's ideal role, and then, like, if you're a championship caliber team, what's his ideal role? So, like, A guy like Colt McKivitz, I think he's a starting caliber offensive lineman, but on a championship caliber team, which is this, I think he's the sixth lineman. He's the lineman you come off the bench with, who can play anywhere. But you got to, you know what I mean? I don't think he's a starting right tackle on a championship caliber team.
Why don't they ask Jalen?
And I like Colton a lot.
Isn't Jalen Moore your swing tackle? Swing him out. Swing him out to the right side.
And then Jalen Moore's got a little bit more, maybe foot quickness. But I mean, Colton is more dependable. I mean, here's the bottom line. Chris Forster's the coach. He makes out the lineup. He thinks McKivitz and Brendel are his best options at right tackle and center. I think he's got, no offense to either guy, but I think he doesn't have a lot of options at tackle, but I think he's got a lot of options at center. And that's why I asked Chris to, say, what do you like about Brendel? Why is he starting? So, but ultimately it's a production game, Damon, and McKivitz is struggling the most. So if he keeps giving up pressures, he's probably going to come out of the game and somebody else is going to be in there.
You talked about, and that was you talked about Garendo. I still think, why is Patrick Taylor on the team?
I don't know. We haven't seen him at all.
So why is he on the team? I mean, that's the thing. Why is this team carrying one player that, given all the problems, is still no, there's no scenario where he can even hit the field. We can't even get a snap from scrimmage for that guy. I don't get it. I mean, do you watch football, other teams that are not the Niners? I do. Larry, I'm sure you do too. The position of running back isn't like an exclusive club that only two people, it's like a table for two and only two people can occupy it. On any other team, it just feels like other teams are out there exhausting their depth charts, and Kyle is like allergic to portions of his.
Yeah, I mean, the Niners have not done a good job in the last few years of spreading around look what they did last year to McCaffrey. I mean, they just absolutely overused him, and by the time they got to the playoffs, he wasn't quite the same player, and then he fumbled in the Super Bowl. I'm not saying it's cause and effect, but I think it had something to do with it. So, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, they're going to have to spread the wealth. I mean, it is interesting. The Niners right now are led by Purdy, 7th rounder, Jennings, 7th rounder, Mason, undrafted free agent. I mean, they're not exactly a blue chip team right now, but I would say in this game, like, look at Green Bay. I mean, I wish the Niners would take a little lesson from Green Bay. Green Bay loses Jordan Love, but guess what? They don't miss a beat. They picked up a Malik Willis, and they don't try to do the same thing with Malik Willis. They ran it 53 times 2 weeks ago, and they have a run dominant scheme. Now they're leaning on their run game and their defense, and they're going to get Jordan Love back, and they're going to be better for it all the way across the board. And Green Bay is going to be a bear to beat down the stretch. I guarantee you. And look at the 49ers here. I mean, you've got Jordan Mason, you've got this kid Garendo, you've got Patrick Taylor. They're all pretty big backs. Run the freaking ball. Run the ball. Run the ball like 60% of the time. Protect your defense. Dominate the time of possession, especially now you have no Hargrave. Campbell can't cover. He's getting toasted. Yadam's getting toasted. Protect your defense. Play complementary football. Dominate the time of possession. You have a big back in Mason. Get him 20 carries. You've got Isaac Garendo. He's big, strong, fast. Get him out there in space 5, 6, 7 times. Run the ball 35 times. You know what I mean? I mean, then you think play action works now. If you run the ball effectively and you can run it 30, 35 times, the play action passes are going to be open, no matter who he's throwing it to. So I don't know, that's what I would like to see. I'd like to see them, devote themselves. I mean, protect their defense. And really more than anything, I mean, if I could say anything, I would say, and I may ask Shanahan this, are there going to be lineup changes on the defensive side of the ball? Campbell and Yadam are getting ripped. I read you Campbell's stats. I don't know if I read you Yadam's stats, Damon, but Yadam's stats are worse than Campbell's stats. Yadam is another guy that's just getting ripped. He's allowed 10 receptions on 15 targets and 123 yards receiving and a 131.3 passer rating when he's been targeted. Renardo Green is better than Yadam and needs to play. Winters is better than Campbell and needs to play. This is pro sports.
You know what, Larry, the thing is we do not know whether or not Green is better than that.
I think he is. I think he shows it on the practice field.
But what you just talked about, what Yadam is doing, should not hesitate. You shouldn't hesitate to explore a better option than that. I mean, it's not like, it's not like this is an amber light. Like when a guy plays stats like that, that's a red light. That should be a red light on his position on your team, and somebody else needs to come into this intersection, and we'll see if they can drive around it. And it just feels like this is where, Shanahan's stubbornness is something real that you can complain about, that is an actual demerit to score against him, not just Kyle is trash emoji. Okay, well, that doesn't explain anything. That means you can hit a picture. What do you mean when you say that? If you're meaning that he doesn't trust his own players at times, maybe I would agree with you here. And look, Niners Worldwide calls it trust issues. I'm not here to argue with you. I think Kyle Shanahan does have trust issues, and what's weird about that is he distrusts the guys that he's picking. These are his hand-selected
everybody.
Places. Yes,
he picked the whole roster.
The whole thing.
Yeah, but I agree. Enough of the sacred cows. Enough of in-season decision making to try to justify off-season mistakes. I mean,
you know what I want you to do? Here's what I want you to do.
I don't want Jameson over Oliver. I mean, I want Jameson over Oliver. I don't want Oliver. And that was, and look how long it took to get rid of Oliver. You lost Quantrez Knight because you'd rather have Oliver. Quantrez was better. Some of their moves that they've made have not. I don't like Devondre Campbell over D Winters. The whole part of defensive football is about closing space. Closing space, you need speed and instincts. And that's what D Winters provides, speed and instincts. He needs to be on the field. And Renardo Green played a ton of man-to-man coverage at Florida State. He's a sticky man-to-man defender who can mirror receivers. You're getting verticals. They're throwing it over the top of your head. You've got to be faster and better and closer to receivers on the back end, or this season is gone. I'm telling you what's going to happen in this game. They're going to run Stevenson. The Niners are going to bring somebody else up into the box, and then they're going over the top to Pop Douglas. And then Marcus Jones is going to have a 70-yard return, and the 49ers are going to be sitting there down 7-0, playing defense deep in their own territory in the first half. Looking to maybe go down 14-0. And then people are going to be like, well, maybe the Patriots are better than we thought. I'm telling you, if the 49ers take this game lightly, they will get beat because the Niners are hemorrhaging right now, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
If there's one, okay, we talked about the things I don't like about Kyle Shanahan. The thing that I like the most about Kyle Shanahan is I've never seen his football team whistle its way into a game. Never. Not once. The effort level of the 49ers has not been in question in a single game I've seen them coached under Kyle Shanahan. We've seen a couple bad games that just looked odd. That Miami game, it always seems to come up. But effort is not an issue. I don't think focus is an issue. I'm not worried about them taking their eye off the ball. What I am worried about is what you were talking about. That the Campbell is just a sore spot that continues to be played. Yadam, sore spot, continues to be played. If the Patriots do win, and those guys are the subjects of picked on all day, you need to wear a T-shirt into that post-game press conference, Larry, that says, Willie Snead was right. Remember, Willie Snead, he gets cut from the 49ers. He goes somewhere else, gives an interview. He's on a podcast, and he's like, hey, man, Kyle Shanahan's got his sacred cows. He's got his favorites. And everyone was like, we dismissed it. We were like, yeah, well, Willie Snead, you didn't do jack shit when you were here. So maybe there's a reason why you didn't hit the field, because you're just Willie Snead. So, calm down. Here's the thing. We killed the messenger. Maybe the message is correct. Maybe the message is correct. I hope it's not, because that would be a big, big, big demerit for Kyle in an otherwise pretty good report card most of the time, if you ask me. So Willie
I understood where Willie was coming from. He was frustrated.
He was frustrated too.
But also, I mean, you got to put your big boy pants on and just acknowledge the business of the NFL. I mean, the Niners invested a 3rd round draft choice in Danny Gray. You know what I mean? So they were going to give him a chance this summer to potentially make the team. And so they only have so many roster spots, and they didn't give one to him, and he was bitter about it and upset about it. And I agree. He was more ready to contribute this year, and he was a good soldier for them on the practice squad, being a veteran who just was on the practice squad working out, not making a lot of money. And he didn't get the promotion to the roster I'm sure in a couple of times that he wanted to, but they're trying to develop younger receivers. I mean, I understand all of it, but I understand his frustration. I don't think it was the best thing for him to say, but it doesn't mean it wasn't right. And I'll say this: all NFL teams play favorites, and guess who their favorites are? The guys they draft, the guys that are cheapest, and the guys who produce the most. If they're gonna, when it's like anything else, if you go, a draft pick or a free agent signing, it's the same thing. You're using assets of your organization to acquire a player. So if you're going to go to your owner and say, I need blank number of assets to go sign, Devondre Campbell, and then you get to week 3 and you're like, Campbell stinks and we're going with Winters. Now your owner looks at you and goes, well, I thought you wanted Campbell. I thought you liked Campbell. Yeah, but he can't run. He can't do this. He can't, So then you kind of maybe lose face a little bit. So I think a lot of times organizations try to cover their picks and try to, you know what I mean?
I don't think John Lynch's career hinges on the Devondre Campbell situation. So there should be I don't want to hear any of that.
Their picks a full look. You know what I mean? That's all.
Right, but these guys are very entrenched. No one's on a hot seat. They go to 1-3 against the Patriots. Kyle Shanahan's not on the hot seat. I'm just telling you that right fucking now. I mean, you're not going to like to hear that. No one's going to want to hear it. Kyle Shanahan's job is not in jeopardy. It's not.
Why does nobody want to hear that? I mean, they're 36-15 or whatever in the last 3 years. They've been to the Super Bowl twice with this coach. They've been to the NFC Championship game, 4 or 5 times? Only the true fringe are out there yelling, get rid of Shanahan.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like you've been sitting in this restaurant for so long, you forgot how regular food tastes. Look around the rest of the NFL. If you think you got the answer better than Kyle, ready to go, who will turn this whole team around and win a Super Bowl immediately, who the fuck is that person and how quickly can you get them here? Because I don't think that person exists. There is no easy path to anything in this league. And I know we're dooming and glooming and you're a little gloomy on the Niners right now, Larry. I didn't expect you to be this cautious about this game in this one. I thought we were going to get one of those. I thought we were going to get a Krueger show. It was about time for the Niners to come out and fire. I thought we were going to get a little pep talk Krueger in this one, but you're really concerned. You are. I can feel it. I can see it.
Well, I mean, because what you said is true is that if they lose, it's Armageddon.
It ain't good. Because it's not just the record, which is still not, you cannot come back from 1-3. No one has ever come back from 1-3. That's still very much a hole you can dig yourself out of. You don't want to. But a loss to the Patriots is more than just falling to 1-3. It's a loss to a team that is going to have a top 5 pick in the upcoming NFL draft. The Patriots do check more boxes of not good than good right now. And even with all of the headaches in the 49ers and the tripping over all the things that have happened this year, they still check more boxes of good than not good. So this is a team that you got to beat. This is as close as you're going to get to a JV NFL team. And the 49ers do need to look good. And here's the thing. Maybe that's something we need to adjust now. Like, I don't care how you look. You just got to win this one.
Yeah,
this cannot go into the loss
looking good. It's not, I mean, we want them to look good, but it's not about looking good. It's just about get the W. Get the W. I don't care. I mean, last week you looked good and you didn't get the W at times. This week, I don't care if you look as good, but you got to get the W. I don't care what it looks like. Style points don't matter to me. You got to get that W. But I just think that this game's going to be a challenge. This game is going to be a challenge. This running back runs hard. And the other running back they have, Antonio Gibson, can catch it out of the backfield. And the Niners are struggling to defend the Niners offensive football is about creating space. I've said it many times. Defensive football is about closing down space. The Niners would close down the space better with Green than Yadam, and would close down the space better with Winters and Graham, than Campbell. And I think that they're not going to make that change. So can they stop the run, and can they defend the pass? Can they be better on special teams? A lot of big questions about the defensive line, big questions about the speed on the secondary. And New England scares me because they don't try to do a lot. But they're kind of conservative. I mean, they're going to run a big back. They're going to throw it short to these receivers, all these little safe rub routes, and everything. This kid Osborne is really underrated. The Niner defensive line, Damon, on paper should dominate, but the Niners defensive line should have dominated the interior of the Vikings line and didn't. The Niners defensive line should have dominated the Rams mash unit offensive line and didn't. And so, yeah, the Patriots offensive line has major problems. I told you, Caden Wallace is starting at left tackle. He's a guard from Penn State who's a rookie. They have Layden Robinson, the guard from A&M at right guard, is a pancake blocker, but he also is kind of slow, and you can pass rush him. But
I remember us
that's what I'm
talking
saying.
about.
You got it.
Sorry, I remember us talking about Caden Wallace as a possible draft pick for the Niners before the draft.
I mean, he's tough. He's a guard though, and he's a guard. Right. I mean, and then they're playing him at left tackle against Nick Bosa in week 4. So, I mean, Bosa should have a field day with Wallace, and the Niners D-line should have a field day with New England.
Will they move him? Will they move Bosa to play against the left tackle? Because normally Bosa's going against right tackles. Yeah. So will they move Bosa to take advantage of that? Or are they going to say, Leonard Floyd, you take advantage of that? I mean, Bosa, I think, needs to be moved an awful lot around. It's time for Chris Kasurik to show everyone that he is worthy of his reputation as one of the best defensive line coaches in all of football, one of the best position coaches in all of football. It feels like the Kasurik magic kind of left the room a little bit. And you can say, well, that's on the coach. It's not on the coach. It's on the players. You got to play with who you got. And he just doesn't have the horses quite like he used to. And the guys who were given up to bring in Javon Hargrave were better than Javon Hargrave. And that's where this whole thing kind of came apart. And if that's the truth, Larry, then yeah, the Niners are in more trouble than anyone wants to admit. If the defensive line is no longer a strength of this team, the entire equation changes. The entire equation changes. So I really hope
they got to get more out of Gross Matos. They got to get more out of Collins. They got to get more out of Bosa. I mean, they've got to play better up front, but also on the back end, they got to close down that space. I mean, the number one thing, I mean, to me, they miss Dre Greenlaw, but they miss him 2 ways, Damon. They miss his speed, but they also miss his ferocity.
Yes.
They don't look nearly as ferocious as a defense. And I mean, think about the ferocious defenders that they don't have anymore. Jimmy Ward, Jaquaski Tart, Azeez Al-Shaair, Dre Greenlaw. I mean, they've lost a lot of the teeth of their defense. And, it was funny. John Lynch on his interview last week on KNBR just kind of volunteered that that they were doing an exercise in their personnel department office about who are the top 5 linebackers in the upcoming draft. Well, guess why they're doing that exercise? Because they need them. They badly need to go find the next Dre Greenlaw, the next Fred Warner. They need to, pack a few more young linebackers into their mix. So Winters looks good. And if he's healthy, I got no problem with him playing over Campbell. I think he should. Let's see a couple more supers here. Kyle Willer says, let's start a GoFundMe jugs machine for our wide receivers.
Dude, look, they got more jugs than the swimsuit issue. They've got enough. They've got enough for everyone down there.
I've seen that magazine once. Purdy's haters switch from he's not good to he's good, but not worth $60 million. I know, seriously. I'd love to know their alternative. Okay, don't pay Purdy, then what? I mean, just stupid, just absolute stupidity. It's just he doesn't have much of an arm. Oh, wait a second, he does have an arm. Oh, but he's dink and dunk. Oh, but he's not dink and dunk. Oh, but he's not accurate. Oh, but he is accurate. Oh, but he can't win. Oh, but he does win. Oh, but he can't win in the playoffs. Oh, but he did win in the playoffs. Oh, he can't. He'll wet the bed in the Super Bowl. Oh, he didn't wet the bed in the Super Bowl.
I love the guy.
It's like, stop.
He can't win the big game, Larry, as if the NFC Championship game is not the big. It's not a big game. It's not maybe the big game, but let's not pretend it's a tiny game. You know, the NFC title game cannot be considered like a preseason tilt compared to the Super Bowl. Like, it might not be as big as the Super Bowl, but considering you don't get there without that, you know, it kind of is. So, yeah, people,
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
People love moving the goalposts. And by the way, Gabriella paying in euros. Look at that.
Look at that. I'm not sure if that's is that good or not? That's
probably the exchange rate's probably not good there, Larry. But anyways, it's wonderful to have you, Gabriella, and thank you very, very much. Jason writes, why are we stunting so much when we don't have the basics down? Just let the defensive ends eat. I'm looking at it almost the other way, Jason. Thank you. I need some stunting. I need more exotic. I need Fred Warner to come through an A gap just once to surprise everybody. I need, let's get a safety firing through. When's the last time the 49ers ran a straight up cornerback blitz? I haven't seen a cornerback blitz.
Okay, let's talk about it for a second. Because I think it's a good point. But also, you got to remember what quarterbacks are you playing. Like, you're not doing that to Rodgers, right? You're not doing that to Stafford. You know what I mean? And Darnold was really dialed in nicely. So, I mean, maybe this week against Brissett, maybe you can start sending. I agree, though. You got to mix it up. The wide nine it's not about the scheme. It's a very simple, basic scheme. It's not about the X's and the O's. It's about the Jimmies and the Joes. It's about the personnel. And that's where the Niners have been so good in the past. They've had two whole defensive lines. Their backups were another team's starting line. Now they're Robert Beal and Sam Aquinu, and they're decent prospects, but they wouldn't start on other teams' defensive lines. So the quality of their depth has gone down a little bit for sure. And so you can't just rely on beating everybody straight up. I think you do have to play some more twisting and stunting games and more movement and sending extra rushers off the edge. And especially, I mean, Damon, this is a new world order right now. You just lost Javon Hargrave. He's a major pass rusher. He's your big money guy in the middle. Now we're going to find out, what is Sorensen's answer? Is he going to bring pressure, exotics? Is he bringing blitzes? Is he bringing dogs? What's going on? What's he going to do to compensate for not having Hargrave? He didn't divulge any of that in the press conference. I didn't expect he would, but Sunday is going to be very interesting to see what kind of game he calls.
By the way, Gabriella's making it rain. Look at that conversion rate. A pound is about $1.34 today. So we just got paid, Krueger. Paid.
Oh, look at that.
Nice.
Look at that.
Very nice.
We get this one from Justin. Justin, we need to talk about how Kyle's a head coach, but gets media bias like an OC when the whole team doesn't perform to expectation. It should lie at the head coach's feet, not a scapegoat coordinator. I don't think anybody, if you think Kyle is, dodging blame, I mean, I think it's freely accepted that the buck stops with him. This San Francisco 49ers is the Kyle Shanahan show. So it all is on him. It doesn't matter if it's the defensive coordinator. Yeah, he hired that defensive coordinator. So it's all on him, and he knows that.
By the way, there's not a single media member in this market covering this team who has the kind of gravitas that his opinion of the Niners head coach even matters. It does not matter. Kyle Shanahan is losing sleep over the San Francisco 49ers, not what a media member who covers the 49ers is saying about him or holding his feet to the fire on anything. Like, we think, we like to pretend we matter in moments. We really don't. We really don't. The only thing Kyle cares about in a media member is I hope that during this radio interview, nobody throws one, no one throws me a little chin music. Make it easy for me so I can just robot answer this another radio interview. Like that's all Kyle cares about in his media members. The football players don't give a shit about what we're saying in a chat room about them. They don't. They got.
Some do, I'm sure, but most don't.
Well, sure. Some do, but in the grand scheme of things, it takes a lot more than fans are turning against you to get you cut. It's.
That's not. Fans don't cut players. Media people don't cut players. Players cut players. Fuji Simeon says, Larry, did you ever get a holiday card from Brock Purdy? I just found out he gave them out. Any updates about the 2 Niner players carted off yesterday? Yeah, John Lynch went on the radio and said that the Elliott thing's an ankle and it's not that serious, and that the Curtis Robinson is a knee and it's very serious. So it's likely very serious. They don't know for sure. So it doesn't look good. So I would say Robinson's probably done for the year, where maybe Elliott's back next week against Arizona. As far as a holiday card from Brock, no, I didn't. We're friendly, but I'm not on the holiday card list. We got this one from Justin. Maybe he's too involved in the offensive phase of the game and not enough time ensuring the others are up to snuff. He has to be a bottom third of the league when it comes to game and clock management too. That's subjective. First of all, that's subjective. The game and clock management. Bottom third in what's game management? Go ahead. What's game management? And how do you fairly and accurately evaluate game management and then begin ranking guys?
I think Kyle tries
rank
to
above or after. Is he a better game manager than McVay, or it's like what?
I think Kyle gets I think Kyle gets a little cute with the clock around that wraparound score concept at the end of the half. He sometimes doesn't leave himself enough time. Like he really wants to score the last touchdown of the first half with 0 seconds remaining on the clock. To me, though, Shanahan, I do think you can absolutely criticize him this. As a head coach, he clearly has not prioritized special teams. He's hired a special teams coordinator and said, you fucking do that. And then turned around and walked away. Because any head coach,
how can you say that? How can you say that?
Special teams like this, it would be better. It would be better.
But how can you say he hasn't prioritized it, Damon, when he changed out the coordinator, spent a lot of money on free agents that only play special teams, guys like George Odom, Ray McLeod, used a 3rd round pick on a kicker, a 4th round pick on a punter. I don't know about that.
Look at this one. I don't remember George.
They're not getting results. We all agree there.
Yeah, it just.
They're not getting results.
It's a results-oriented business, and the results of special teams have been unimpressive. No matter who the person is, no matter who the player is, no matter who the coordinator is. So now we do turn around and say, "Hey, it says head coach on your door, buddy. This is you." And I don't think that Kyle, if strapped to, a lie detector, would be able to answer truthfully, yeah, I care about special teams as much as I should. I don't think he would. I think that would be like,
well, he told you what his mindset was, right? He's like, I don't want to lose the game on special teams. I don't care if I win the game on special teams. I just don't want to lose it on special teams. And now they're losing it on special teams. So it's like, it's a problem. And I got to think that I know Brian Schneider is well respected. I know he's been in the league a long time. But if they have another major gap on special teams, I would not be surprised if he got dumped. He's already been called out at the presser by the head coach.
I would have already done it, and I would have also already cut Ronnie Bell. And if Ronnie Bell has a drop this week, fuck Kyle Shanahan's roster decisions. Good God.
Ronnie Bell's fighting it, man. He's fighting it. I see him in practice. He's fighting it. He's not catching the ball like he did last summer, and I'm not sure why. I'm really not sure why, but he's going to have to, he can't run, so he's got to catch. He's not big, so you got to catch, so you got Terrace Marshall sitting right there at practice. I talked to him in the locker room yesterday. I'm like, Terrace, how you feeling? He's like, man, I'm feeling good. feeling good. And he looks good at practice. And we're talking about an NFL receiver who's bigger, stronger, faster, and younger than Ronnie Bell and more experienced. It's like, how many weeks? This is what Willie Snead was talking about. This is why Willie Snead was right. Because Ronnie Bell, because he was a 6th round draft choice, is taking a roster spot over Terrace Marshall, who's bigger, stronger, faster, younger. I mean, it'd be one thing if Terrace Marshall was 33. He's 24. He's 24. He was a 2nd round pick not that long ago. You guys just told me last week when I asked you about picking him up, you're like, I don't know. We don't know what Carolina saw. Like, in other words, Carolina doesn't know jack and we know way more. Well, if you think you know so much more, then put him on the field. Let's see him. I mean, this isn't junior NFL. This is the bigs. This isn't preseason. This is the regular season. If you lose this game and Ronnie Bell is a key drop and Terrace Marshall is not activated and your offense doesn't score very many points, I mean, that is going to be a discussion point next week. So put your best players on the field. D. Winters, Bernardo Green, Terrace Marshall. Play your best players. I'm a little disappointed because I don't think they're playing their best players.
Well, let me ask, because you've been around practice. Ricky Pearsall starting to ramp things up here. Ricky Pearsall going to come off of IR and maybe get snaps week 5.
Yes. He's ramping up. He can be called. He can be activated next week. I think he will be. I really do. I think he's going to contribute, Damon. The one thing about Pearsall that's really unique is the guy's got great route running and ball skills. So it's like he's open. He can get open. And we all know that's really all you got to do with Brock Purdy. JJ is proof of that. You get yourself open, Brock Purdy, the ball will find you. So they need Pearsall because they just need as many weapons as possible. So, and Pearsall could be a really, really good addition.
By the way, saw a story from Eric Branch out of the San Francisco Chronicle. I guess he talked to an orthobiologist who works for the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, and says that McCaffrey's visit suggests he has a more serious injury, perhaps microscopic tears in the tendon that have not responded well to initial treatment. If methods will not resolve this within a few weeks, rest won't either. And given the nature of the Achilles, which is a weight-bearing tendon, McCaffrey would likely be sidelined if there is some sort of procedure done to him in Germany. That could be another 6 to 8 weeks right there, which would be, a return maybe in week 12 for Christian McCaffrey, the Packers game around Thanksgiving. But then I saw someone else say that Kyle Shanahan offered up some positive report. He heard good news out of Germany and suggested McCaffrey would be back on the practice field within a matter of weeks here, Larry. So do we know the name of the doctor or clinic that he visited? Do we know what procedure he did or did not have done that he went to explore about and either said yes to or no to? This feels like an awful lot of fuzzy information that should be concrete at this point.
Well, more information has come out on this today, Damon. The doctor's name is, or the orthobiologics specialist is a guy by the name of Kenton Field, and he's the NHL medical director. John Lynch said this morning on KNBR that Christian's back from Germany, and that they will try to ramp him up to play. No timeline yet is set for his return. The Achilles specialist was a collaborative decision, according to Lynch, but by the Niners and CMC. Obviously, Christian, had a setback, and they want to be very careful. And obviously, he's a valuable player, and so this was a specialist that I'm sure he chose and they approved, and they're all on board with trying to get him right. But it sounds like he went over there seeking solutions, which tells you it's probably career threatening. And there is no timeline, but Lynch did say that he's back from Germany. He's back in Santa Clara, and they've gotten the pain part. Like, they're beyond that. and they're now it's quiet. He said today on the radio that they got the pain part quieted down, and they're now going to be in the phase of starting to ramp him up to play. So I think you're probably going to see him give it a go. My guess is somewhere around week 10. That would be my guess. Yeah.
There might not have been a single
all could change. All could change,
right.
But that's the latest.
There might not have been a single broadcast that you and I have done together in 6 months, Larry, where we've gone this deep into any show without even using the words Brandon Ayuk. We have yet to say the name Brandon Ayuk in this show. Welcome to Wake Up. By the way, like and subscribe, both channels. Brought to you by our good friends at Sam's Chowder House. Brandon Ayuk, this is the week that
there he is. I just saw Brandon Ayuk, right? I just saw Ayuk. He's there. He's at Sam's Chowder House. He's in the background there.
Larry, this is a week where Brandon Ayuk needs to get right. I mean, it really, seriously, it's time, Brandon. You've had your about a month now around the team, ramping up, getting into football shape. I actually saw some very positive numbers, not that it was reflected in positive production, but Ayuk was getting the separation he was criticized of not getting. And it is getting better, and hopefully this is the week that it is it would be great if Brandon Ayuk could be a fraction of the player that rookie Malik Neighbors has turned. Oh my God, Larry, he's got a little concussion. Have you seen on Thursday Night Football? The Malik Neighbors had 12 catches for 115 yards. He's got 35 catches for 386 yards and 3 touchdowns in 4 games. This kid is like prolific right out of the rip with a quarterback who couldn't throw a football through an open window. He's that inaccurate, but Malik Neighbors is making Danny Dimes look like a real NFL quarterback again.
He's the reason my fantasy team's undefeated. Me and Kev went with Malik Neighbors, like in the 4th round or something, and that has been a great decision because you would think those numbers are crazy. How about his targets? It's a great Malik Neighbors he looks incredible. By the way, I have the most amazing. I stumbled into the most amazing Brock Purdy stat of all time. Do you want to hear the most amazing Brock Purdy stat of all time?
No, I do not. Absolutely. Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching. No, of course. Give it to me. Yes.
Okay. This is amazing. Damon, this one, you'll almost want to write it down. It's so amazing. Okay. Brock Purdy came on the scene in week 14 of 2022. Technically, it was week 13 against Miami, but week 14 against Tampa was his first start. So the Brock Purdy era, as far as Niners starting quarterback, began
week 14, 2022.
Week 14 of 2022. So since that point, since Brock has been in the NFL, here is the list of 110 or better quarterback rating games for these quarterbacks. How many did you have since that point, right? Since that point. Since Brock Purdy came into the league, these are the quarterbacks who have the most games of 110 QB rating or better. Dak Prescott, 8. Lamar Jackson, 6. Patrick Mahomes has 4 games with a 110 or better quarterback rating since that point. And this is all regular season. Matthew Stafford, 4 games. Josh Allen, 4 games. Jalen Hurts, 4 games. Brock Purdy, 15 games. He's got 15 games since he took over as the starting quarterback in the regular season, where he has had a 110 or better quarterback rating. Prescott's the next closest at 8. Lamar's got 6. The rest of those guys have 4. Mahomes has 4. I'm not saying Brock Purdy's the best quarterback in football, but all these people saying, well, he's not this and he's not that and he's not. Look, the quarterback rating thing is a pretty generic stat that kind of is an all-encompassing stat. So that's why I like this one. And 110 is a pretty high number. 100 is a little on the low side, but 110. But when you look at 4 for Mahomes and 15, he's got more than 3 times, almost 4 times as many games of a 110 rating as Mahomes. Enough of the Brock Purdy's, not this, not that. Brock Purdy is one of the 5 or 6 reasons the 49ers have a chance. I mean, the 49ers have problems, man. Their offensive line's not blocking. Their wide receivers are relatively slow. CMC may never play again. The defensive line is a shell of what it used to be. They miss Greenlaw, who was like maybe they're one of their best players. They badly, they have no speed in the secondary, not nearly enough. The special teams is a freaking joke. They got so many issues. Brock Purdy's like him, Jennings, Fred Warner, these guys should be able to park like, horizontally, across like 5 spaces in the lot. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't care if Brock Purdy takes a dump and puts it on the front of the front of the stadium stairs. I don't care. I really don't care. Don't complain about Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is dominating right now.
Yeah, he's not the problem. That's for sure. And look, because of that, go beat the fucking Patriots. Okay. I mean, like, I don't know what to tell you, man. It's time to beat the Patriots. You got a really good quarterback. You're getting more weapons back. Hopefully Brandon Ayuk's nuts drop this weekend and we get to see him. Hopefully Nick Bosa takes advantage of a clear path that looks like it's in front of him. Fred Warner is the best player on the field. Continue to be that, Fred. Look at that restaurant right there in Half Moon Bay. And here's the thing. This is professionally shot. They brought a professional in here to make that lobster roll glisten. You see the little butter dripping off the thing. Look at that. That's a perfect bowl of cioppino. It's like each grain of rice was placed perfectly. There's like a set director who made that cioppino look so good. So is this truth in advertising or is the food that good? Larry, my mother-in-law. So we have permission to use these photographs because they're from Liz. My mother-in-law and father-in-law were in Half Moon Bay, and they went to Sam's Chatter. This is not a professional photographer. This is the Crab Louie Sally you get. This is not made from the kitchen, knowing that it's going in the commercial this is just you're a person who walked into Sam's Chatter House. Look at that. When I tell you that you get an entire lobster worth of lobster meat on your lobster roll, it's not just for the one in the picture. Look at that. Look at that lobster meat stacked up right there. By the way, those potato chips are awesome. There's the picture. She took the picture of the menu. There's her cocktail. Looks like they got a little margarita,
what we got going there? We got a little margarita. We got a little whiskey sour. What is that on the right?
I don't know what the
Alabama Slammer, or what are we looking at there?
I don't know what the tall one is, but that's definitely a
little
margarita.
Colada, maybe? Is that a pina colada?
No, those are not. That's not the color of the colada. The colada is a white color. And then there she took there's the threshold that you will cross on your way into Sam's Chatter House, and everyone likes a nice threshold.
Look at
Crab Louie, baby.
That looks good, so man. Good. Look at that. Looks good.
What a
little bit of crab on there, by the way. That's a lot of crab.
It's a nice cut egg that they made right there too. That's whoever cut that hard-boiled egg.
Hard-boiled egg. That is a beautiful salad. I'm gonna, I know I don't look like it, but I'll mix in a salad every now and then.
I know. That's the thing. Niners Worldwide.
I know a lot of you doubt that, but
Niners Worldwide is saying, "Oof, can't do crab salad. Oof, you can't do that crab salad." I mean,
what? You can't do crab salad.
Here's the thing. Like, crab salad doesn't sound good enough to me to order it, but then it comes to the table, and you're like, "Okay, all right, I see why you did that. That looks good."
Yeah. Oh, heck yeah. And then it's also what kind of dressing do you want? Sometimes some people like sometimes I'll have like a tuna salad, but I'll go with like a balsamic over the top, a little balsamic vinaigrette.
Well, you're watching your inches.
Yeah. What sometimes I'll do is if I make like like a London broil or some kind of a big steak, and it's day 2. I don't want to heat up the steak, so sometimes I'll cut it into cubes and put it in like a salad.
There you go.
Steak salad. Have you ever had steak salad?
Of course. Nutrition tips with Krueger. Put some steak in that.
Put some steak in that. Everything's better with steak or bacon. We also have this one. Fuji Simeon, speaking of a super chat with the British pound, since the 49ers organization own an English soccer team, Leeds, any chance the Niners play a game in the UK? Oh, are you kidding me? I think they would love to play a game in the UK.
I think they're definitely going to be up in the next year or two in the cycle. I mean, it's going to get to a point, Larry, where I really believe the NFL is going to have a 14 to 16 game international slate. They're not going to put a team overseas, but they're going to put a regular season worth of football a couple of places overseas.
JJ Raider, compliments are for winners, LOL. No free juice boxes over here.
Yeah, you're not getting a Capri Sun if you lose to the New England Patriots. So get it right. Get it right.
By the way, congrats to the Northgate freshman team last night, 37-6. Damon, we took down the Broncos, went on the road to Menlo Atherton, a school that probably costs more than you and I have in the bank together. It's an incredible sum of money to go to Menlo Atherton. But either way, they're spending it on books. They must not be spending it on their football team because 37-6 Northgate. They came to Menlo. They drank their wine. They had their women. Well, maybe they didn't. It was but you know what I'm saying. They got the
it's just a freshman team. They're not having the women too.
Well, there's no women. There's no wine. There's none of that. But it sounds good.
Look at it this way. Northgate freshman football. We ain't here to play school.
Tonight, by the way, in the sunset in my old stomping grounds. And, the only thing I miss about living in the city, and I do miss this, especially now that my favorite Chinese restaurant's no longer available. Shulung no longer there. But I do miss the days when I was living out in the avenues when SI would play a football game and you would hear the, tackle, Bruce, on the tackle, Bruce, number 65. And you could hear it from my house, and then I would walk over and watch the games. SI tonight in the sunset against Sarah. It's the Larry Krueger, Bob Fitzgerald game. Something's got to give. They had Bonds, they had Brady, but so what? We have a better academic school. So there you go. Go Cats, get them Cats, go get them Cats. Oh, red and blue will all be true. We'll wave our banners to the sky. Red and blue will fight for you. We'll fight for St. Ignatius High, and victory will be our goal, and we will reach it if we try. We're going to fight. We're going to fight. We're going to fight. Go Cats, get them Cats, get them tonight. Beat Sarah. I always hated Sarah. I used to say Sarah's a girl's name. Sarah's a girl's name. Thanks.
I can hear Reardon football practice from my backyard. I can hear a Reardon football game, and so I'm bringing the boys over to one soon. That's going to be fun.
Damon, go tomorrow. Tomorrow, the game of the year in the WCAL, Reardon against Sacred Heart.
Is it at Reardon?
I don't know. That I don't know.
At Reardon, I don't know. I don't know. If it's at
Reardon,
SoFi. I will go tomorrow.
I think it's at SoFi. It's at Jerry's. It's at Jerry's World. No, I don't.
Reardon was offered the
Florida or Texas.
Reardon was offered the opportunity to play at Levi Stadium. They said this place is a fucking dump. No, thank you.
It's not as good as our normal surface.
I'll tell you, Reardon has beautiful multi-purpose surface. They spent over $1 million redoing their football field. It's really nice. They got a baseball field attached to it too. They got the they did a really, really nice job with their redo. Built a little press box. Looks good. Jillian is a Lincoln gal. She went to Lincoln. So she's ready for the Mustangs to do something. Might head over to that game. But yeah, no, I do. I love high school football, and I'm glad I can hear it from my backyard, and I want to go over and see it soon. I hope that game's here tomorrow. That'll be giving me something to do.
We got this one. JJ Raider, Levi's catching strays.
But these aren't strays. I am aiming directly at Levi's and hitting the bullseye every time I talk about that C- of a football stadium.
Niners Worldwide said, just two dads talking about grass. There you go.
That's it. Just
well, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to Sam's Chowder House. Go to Sam's Chowder House. Check him out. Damon, what do you got planned the rest of the day? I got a Chase Senior stream in 5 minutes, and then Shanahan speaks, then practice. I get a busy Friday, and then Niners Nightly tonight. Tom Curran is going to stop by from NBC Sports Boston tonight with me on Niners Nightly on the KMBR YouTube tonight at 6.
Tom's great. I had him on the radio show many times. He's a friend of Ratto, as all Krusty writers were. So that was always good. So have a great interview with Tom Curran. We want to thank Nicole Yang of the Boston Globe for joining us here. She was really, really good. Larry, I've got my 11 o'clock show coming up. We're going to talk about how it's time for Nick Bosa to have a breakout game for the San Francisco 49ers. Everything starts looking better if Nick Bosa is laying on top of a quarterback. So that needs to happen. That's a priority. And I'm going to tell you right now, later today, I'm going to be recording an interview with Glenn Kuiper. Glenn, obviously, who was, booted off of A's broadcasts for having the single biggest verbal slip a white man can have on the air. But it was that, and his career has been ruined since that. And it was awful watching every ounce of his 20-year relationship being carefully edited out of any A's memory at all. He should have been part of the broadcast. He should have been given a chance to come back and say goodbye and an apology. So I'm going to be talking to Glenn Kuiper, and that's a video that's going to be coming out a little bit later on, and hopefully people are interested in that. I think it's going to be a really interesting conversation. So that's happening a little later today. We're going big on Bosa at 11. Give Chase my very, very best, Larry, and I saw.
You know what I love about a Glenn Kuiper? He's a true baseball guy. He's a baseball guy, and he
was a baseball guy. He was,
and he'll be a baseball guy again. He'll be a baseball guy again.
Glenn's a good guy, and he made a mistake. And I'm a believer in second chances. I got a second chance. I've made the most of it. I believe Glenn deserves a second chance, and somebody, you get to know what they're about and what's in their heart. It was a mistake, but there's no malice in that man's heart. So I say that with 100% confidence as somebody who knows him and he's shared meals with him and have spent lots of time with him. And I know there are people be like, well, Krug, I don't care if coming from you, well, there you go. You don't want to hear it from me. You don't want to hear it from me. But I just told you how I honestly feel. I think Glenn's a hell of a guy, and he made a mistake, and he apologized.
I evaluate it like this. If you think you can be an active, living racist and sneak that past Oakland for the better part of 2 decades, if you think you can sneak that past Bip Roberts and Shooty Babbitt, Dave Stewart, and dudes that you work with, if you think that Glenn was able to hide his true hatred for all, you're a sucker. You're a straight up sucker. He fucked up massively, and he has to own that, and he does. But we're going to have a conversation that I don't think a lot of places are even have the balls to even have the conversation. But the Palouse has got the balls to do that conversation, so we will.
He's a baseball guy. Everybody have a great Friday. Damon, peace.